Hey everyone, hope you're doing well. Today we're talking about business law and specifically Chapter 10, which deals with government agencies and regulation. So what do you know about regulation? So you've probably heard by now we've got these things called laws that are created through a legislative process. But in addition to a legislative process that creates laws, we also have government agencies. And these agencies examples are things like the Environmental Protection Agency, OSHA, the FDA, the USDA, these various agencies that are created throughout the government to be watchdogs. And basically what they do is they exist to serve a public need. And so Environmental Protection Agency, they're there to watch out for environmental impacts. The Food and Drug Administration, they're to watch and make sure that food and drugs that people consume are not creating adverse health effects. And so this chapter kind of goes into what administrative agencies are and regulatory agencies are, and it talks about those specific types of laws. And so this is a brief chapter. It shouldn't be very long, but this is meant to be an introduction to the reading, not a supplement for the reading, so you should still do the reading. But in any case, administrative law is also referred to as regulatory and public law. It is a law that relates to administrative agencies. Administrative agencies are established by statutes and governed by rules, regulations, and orders, court decisions, judicial orders, and decisions. Agencies are created by federal or state government to carry out certain goals or purposes. Federal agencies are created by an act of Congress. Congress writes out a law called an organic statute that lays out the purpose and structure of the agency. The agency is charged with carrying out that purpose as prescribed by Congress. Organic statutes are utilized to create agencies or administrative agencies as well as to define their responsibilities and authority. And so just keep in mind when you see something that is an agency or regulation, the purpose of it is mainly to protect the public. You've probably heard the term deregulation. Business does not like regulation because it creates a barrier to how they want to conduct business. And so just a really kind of fast and loose example, let's say that I'm a producer, I make something, and as a result of me making something, I create some type of waste product that can be harmful to the environment, harmful to human health. And so government says, hey, we've got to regulate how you deal with that waste product. You can't just be dumping it in the streets, dumping it in the river, dumping it in the field somewhere because it could have an adverse health effect on the public. And so as a business, I think, man, I've got to go through all this pain and expense to deal with this waste product in order to create whatever it is I produce. So it's going to cost me a lot of money to deal with it. If I had it my way, I could just dump it in the river and be done with it, or dump it in the ocean and be done with it. And so you can kind of see both sides. The business person, remember, the reason why we have business, the sole motivating factor is the profit motive. I'm here to make money. But if you're telling me that I've got to comply with a regulation that costs me money, you can see why businesses don't like regulations that much. And so industrialization, administrative agencies have been around almost since the founding of the United States. However, industrialization had a big impact on the development of administrative laws. Yeah, and they list some examples here. The Food and Drug Administration, the Federal Trade Commission, FTC, the Federal Reserve Systems to regulate banks. So these are examples of administrative agencies. And so they do have impacts. Administrative law impacts the public on a daily basis, whether you notice it or not. Administrative law is basically the delegated power granted to administrative agencies to carry out specific functions. Government agencies endeavor to protect the rights of citizens, corporations, and any other entity through administrative law. So the idea is good. We want to create laws and regulations that protect the public. However, some view it as an infringement on their free will to operate a business as they see fit. I see both sides of it. It's an interesting thing to discuss. And so we'll move to the next part about regulatory agencies. So the power of administrative agencies comes from the executive branch of government. Congress passed laws to carry out specific directives. The passing of these laws often creates a need for a government agency that will implement and carry out these laws. The government is not able to perform the work itself or manage the employees who will do the work. Instead, it creates agencies to do this. Assigning this authority to agency is called delegation. Just like a manager would delegate an assignment or a task, government can delegate to the agencies the authority to manage whatever particular directive they have. I'm just going to keep kind of skimming through it because I want you to go through and read the details. Federal agencies, well-known federal agencies include the Federal Bureau of Investigation, the FBI, the EPA, Environmental Protection Agency, the Food and Drug Administration, the FDA, Federal Trade Commission, FTC, Federal Elections Commission, FEC, and the National Labor Relations Board, the NLRB. These agencies were created to serve specific purposes. For instance, the FBI was created to investigate federal crimes. A federal crime is one that violates federal criminal law rather than state criminal law. The EPA was created to combine federal functions that were instituted to protect the environment. There's a missing word there, it seems. The NLRB was created to carry out the National Labor Relations Act of 1935. And so we also have this other thing called antitrust laws that prevent one organization from restraining competition or seeking to maintain full control over the market. So make sure you go through and read these parts in the chapter. It's not a long chapter at all. You should be able to read this in 30 minutes or less. The agency structure, administrative agencies are made up of experts, and they are trusted by the Congress to identify the agency structure that best serves their specific goal. Thus, each agency is structured differently. And then lastly, Administrative Procedure Acts, the APA. The APA, the Administrative Procedure Act, was enacted in 1946. Under the APA, agencies must follow certain procedures to make their rules enforceable statutes. The Act set up the full system for the execution of administrative law by administrative agencies for the federal government. And so this has been just a quick introduction to the chapter. It's a very short chapter, and you shouldn't have any problem going through and reading this and addressing the homework information. If you do have any questions, though, please send me an email. You've got my email address, and I'm happy to talk to you. You guys have a great rest of your week, and I'll talk to you soon, okay? Have a good one.